Chevron Delo is announcing a break with convention, giving you even more reasons to choose Delo. Hi everybody, welcome back to Equipment World. You're watching The Dirt. I'm your host Brian, and today we're here to talk to Matt Stanley of American Pavement Specialists. If you don't know that name, you might recognize the name Raised on Blacktop. These guys created a brand around their business that has blown up. And today we're asking Matt, how do you get into social media and how can it benefit your business? So without further ado, here's Matt. Well, Matt, thanks for being on the show today. I appreciate your time, man.
Of course, Brian. Thank you for having me. I'm glad we made this happen.
Yeah, I am too. I've been excited to chat with you. So my first question is, what made you guys decide that having an online social media presence was important for your business?
Looking back, it was probably the second generation that kind of put their neck out there and decided to start doing it. It was probably, we started on Facebook. It was more so my brothers and I just wanting to share within the community what we were doing. We always had a good name in the area and wanted to keep getting the word out there. We were very involved in the community, whether it be, the local parade or local baseball teams or basketball teams. So we thought we'd like to keep updating the community on what we were doing. And back then we couldn't update our website. So what could we do was start a Facebook business page. So that's how it got started.
Gotcha. And so as things have grown, and we can go positive and negative on this, as things have grown, what have been some of the unforeseen impacts to the business of having that online presence?
Well, I think the positive heavily outweighs the negative for sure. There is some negative involved, but that's with anything you do. Like I said, when we got on there, we didn't expect this to blow up like it has and open the doors that it has. We were really getting on there just to share what we did within our community. But fast forward 10 years now, and we don't rely on social media for work. We never did. We never will. We rely on referrals and word of mouth. But fast forward to 2024, word of mouth is social media now. So we're in a place where, we have our, 30 to 40 good customers that we work for, but we do get a lot of good work that rolls in from social media. And it's not people, I wouldn't say it's not business to customer, it's business to business. It's connecting with other contractors online, that may hurt a view. But when we open up the door a little bit on social media and let them in on what we do, that contractor that's maybe just out of your range that you work, maybe they're 30 miles away, maybe they're an hour and a half away and you only travel an hour. One good thing about social media too, in that spectrum, would be that they already know the level of quality of work that you do. So there's already a level of trust built in. And to go a little bit further, it's not even with contractors. It can go down to, for us, we're in asphalt. And asphalt guys, if they're listening, will really connect to this. If you go 2 hours away to an asphalt plant, that your trucks aren't in there every day, but that plant operator might follow your Instagram account or your Facebook account, and they know who you are. You automatically get good service. They automatically trust you. They'll stay a little longer because they know who you are, and they're happy that you're there. And I'd even go as far as saying inspectors now. We get inspectors, even if they are older. They follow us. They know that we're coming. They're excited to see us when we pull up. The first thing they ask is, it's no longer a question about the job. It's, can we get a hat, or can we get a merch, or is your dad going to be here? And that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's worth a lot.
Yeah, that's awesome. So one of the things that you and I kind of talked about is hiring. We're in this huge workforce shortage right now. Has it at least helped you guys not so much struggle with finding people?
Yes and no. It does attract some people that, they see the sizzle that we give off online and think that it's all butterflies and rainbows, which a lot of it is. We do have very nice equipment that is just as nice in person, and we do have fun at work like we do online. But at the end of the day, it's asphalt. It's a tough job. I would say that locally, when people come in, they know we're very serious about what we do. But I'd go back and say, we're a company we do a ton of work, but we only have 20 people on staff. So, we're not looking to hire 5 to 10 people a year. If we could pick up 1 to 3 employees, that's good. And that's like most companies. So I would say, the quality of people coming in, looking at work has gone up a little bit, but it kind of goes back to they are familiar with your company already. So if they do come to our door looking for a job, you would think that they at least think they have what it takes.
Yeah. So you guys are unique. You have, outside of this branding for your business, you've created this monster that is raised on blacktop. It's almost its own separate entity now. Mm-hmm. And so kind of taking a step away from the business and talking about that, for you, what has been the most exciting part of kind of creating this brand, growing the brand? What's really been the big achievement for you?
It's all very exciting and stressful. But the biggest achievement, I would say, would be these machine collaborations that we're doing. And now we're like 3-4 years into working with these companies. It's one thing if you do a little social media deal with a manufacturer and they don't really know who you are. They might know the value. But when you start to develop real relationships with manufacturers, from Lee Boy all the way up to John Deere, that's really cool. And a lot of this, it's still, I know we're trying to keep it separate, but it does circle back to American Pavement and what my parents have built. I've never really said this on a podcast, but a lot of the reason why I built this brand, I did know where it would go to. I did see a high ceiling for it, but it was really to get my parents the respect that they deserve in the industry, because construction is a huge industry. And sure, locally, the mom and pop shops, they do get the respect, from their local region that they do good work. But to be able to get that respect for the level of performance we put in our work, our reputation, that came from telling our story online. And for my parents to get that respect worldwide now is that's really my North Star.
So that's kind of an interesting thing just within itself. What does your dad think about this? And I guess let's back up. What did he think when you were first starting out? Was this like, what are you doing with a camera on the job? Or did he kind of grasp what you were shooting for?
But before we get into that, I want to take a second to tell you about the sponsor of this video, Chevron Lubricants. These past few years have been less than easy. We've encountered challenges we never imagined we'd ever have to deal with. From makeshift home offices and video meetings, to global supply chain uncertainty, price instability, market disruptions, and everything in between. Delivering the level of services and products our customers had come to expect was difficult for all of us. We can't change what's behind us, but we can definitely learn from it. We can adapt, evolve, and take steps to reset our thinking, adapt our strategies, and restore your trust in us to better meet your needs, now and in the future. That change begins today. Today we break with convention and introduce a rebalanced line of Dello heavy-duty engine oils. We've reduced our product line from 4 categories to 2. Consolidated and simplified, this lineup removes complexity from the manufacturing processes, enhancing price stability and supply chain reliability, so you can trust you will have the premium products you need to keep your business always moving forward. Our break with convention optimizes the Dello lineup to allow you to provide your customers with the best synthetic blend and synthetic heavy-duty engine oils in the market, fully available at prices you can rely on. It's your assurance that you'll be well positioned to be their trusted source for proven engine protection that keeps equipment on the job, giving your customers even more reasons to choose Dello.
What does your dad think about this? And I guess let's back up. What did he think when you were first starting out? Was this like, what are you doing with a camera on the job? Or did he kind of grasp what you were shooting for?
So a little bit of both. He never really was like, what are you doing this for? From day one to here we are sitting here today. He always said that social media is one of the best tools in the history of business, right? Of course, when you get to how deep I am into it, it does cost us some money, right? To build the brand.
Sure.
To be doing these trade shows that we're doing now. But for the average guy or girl that's, doing it from their phone on a job, it's free. It's free to take your phone out and take a video or take a picture and post it online. And just the level of reach that we've been able to grasp is insane. You wouldn't do that from an ad in a local paper or sponsoring the coffee cup at a local diner. My parents are really into it, both of them. What I think is really cool, and people that meet them, they get it the first second they meet my mom or dad, especially my dad, because he's just such a regular dude. both my parents, but it doesn't get to their head at all. Because at the end of the day, we keep the main thing, and that's performing quality work at a very high level. So it hasn't got to their head, so they do enjoy it. It's because we're not promoting nonsense. We're not just trying to be funny online. We're promoting family business, hard work, and we're motivation for a lot of contractors. We just went to a dealer event down in Pennsylvania, Asphalt Care, and on the ride back, I was like, "What'd you think, Dad? How was it?" And my other brother was like, "Does it get a little annoying when people are coming up asking for pictures?" And he was like, the one thing that stood out that he said was that he loves when kids come up to him and want to take a picture. And
That's
like
cool.
a kid came up to him, had one of our hats, and my dad signed it, and he signed a future millionaire to the kid, and took
That's
a picture
cool.
with him, signed
That's
it.
awesome.
So I could see. I think it's because where my dad comes from. I mean, he started from nothing. Like he was that kid, and so he loves when kids come up to him and just want to talk to him and stuff. But all in all, it's really like the talk of the town. Anywhere we go now, people are asking about it. And sure, sometimes too, the downsides of it, they call you Hollywood or like we're playing up the celebrity, but we're really not. It's all comes from a place of wanting to promote the industry. I got to a spot where I was like, should we be doing this? And then I was like, you know what? I'm not going to dim our light. We're promoting something good. I see that it fires people up. So that's when I really went all in on everything.
Dude, I'm going to tell you, being totally honest, right now the only role model our industry has for kids is Blippi. And your dad is a hell of a lot better than Blippi.
My nephews and nieces watch Blippi too.
Tell your dad just bust out in the Excavator song at some point.
Yeah.
Everyone will fall in line.
Yeah. Real quick, can I just say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that's what's cool about what we're doing is like, not saying that that's a bad idea, but like, sure, we got hundreds of thousands of followers and we could kind of, I wouldn't call that selling out, but we could do that money grab and do something really like, I don't want to call it corny, but we're really sticking to what we do. I could go a different route with our YouTube and maybe do like classes and try to sell a seminar, but like, I really care about the authentic content that we put out and just really promoting family business. That's really what I'm trying to do here.
Yeah.
I've heard it my whole life, right? I've grown up, my parents started the business 30 years ago. I'm 31 years old, so 10 years into the business, when I'm 10 years old in school, I got maybe even older, 15, 16 in high school. I got from the friends, oh, you guys are all set. Daddy's money this, daddy's money that. If I could say one thing to the audience, especially the young contractors that are listening to this, like stick it out, because you're going to get to an age when you're in your 30s and, we get to a point where I can humbly say, like, I have been a part of building this business. First to say my parents built this business, but me and my brothers, we're a huge part of this now. And 30 years from now, they're going to be looking at us and looking at our kids like that. So if I could talk to young contractors and just tell them to block out that noise, because if you have a chance to grow in your family business, you should absolutely stay there.
Yeah. I will say that's one of the things that's really struck me is the authenticity there. Anytime you talk to someone that's got a bit of celebrity, even off of YouTube, there's always the unknown of, is this guy legit or is he who he shows himself to be on camera? And that's one thing that's really stuck out, is that's very authentic. Everything you guys are doing is exactly who you've been off camera. And I think the audience and the viewers all pick up on that it's not fake, it's not a show. It's if I were to walk on your job site tomorrow, I'm working with the same guys I see on the screen.
You're absolutely right. And I always say the best compliment I always get is that when we do a job for a contractor through social media, or the inspector does recognize us, the first thing they say is, you guys are exactly what I imagined. And that means that, yes, we do good work, and two, I'm doing a good job at telling our story.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, my final question for you is, for contractors who don't have a clue, who know they need to get an online presence but don't really know how, any tidbits of wisdom you can give them as they kind of start out on this journey?
I'd say, first of all, they're definitely overthinking it. And second of all, social media is just not for kids anymore. I mean, you walk in a doctor's office and even old people, they're staring at their phone, they're on Facebook. So that's just business 101, advertise where the eyeballs are, right?
Yeah.
And another thing is, like, you can't look at, American Pavement or Raised on Blacktop and think that, man, if I get on social media, this is what I need to do. You really just need to get on there and start, because it is the way to advertise it nowadays. It is free, and you can go about it any way you want. You don't have to have your face on the camera. If you're not good on camera, just post a picture and write a caption. I'd also say I see a lot of people that, like, they might have a personal page that they use and they share stuff with their family. Don't be afraid to, like, you don't have to start a business account too. Like, you could mix it all in. Sure. Share your kid's soccer game on the weekends, and then, share Monday morning that you're at work. I think that's cool too.
Well, Matt, thanks for the time. Thanks for the advice. It's been good.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for having me. And big fan of Equipment World. So, if there's anything I can ever do to support Equipment World, I'll be first in line.
Well, thank you again for Matt taking the time to come on the show today and talk to us a bit about how they started social media, how they started their brand, and what some of the benefits are, and how you could potentially start a brand around your business. As always, I hope this helps you in your business, and we'll catch you on the next episode of The Dirt.